Good evening, everyone. I'm Whiskey's editor, Lucas, and I'm here with my co-host, David. David, would you like to say hello?
Good evening, everyone. This is David Plyer. Tonight, we're
And,
going to be playing Placid Plastic Simulator.
and welcome to our Placid Plastic Podcast.
Good to be here. Good to be here. Okay, please explain your duck to kick this off.
Okay, so as you can see, under the unfortunate circumstances, I decided I was going to be.
I just realized looking at it.
duck.
It was sunk underwater. Oh, that's terrible.
That's what submarines do. That's their
No,
whole
it was
point.
like it was like capsized. Like it looked like it was completely sunk. Oh, I saw a picture online of a PS2 controller in the ocean, and they're like, "Boys, we found him."
Oh.
I was laughing pretty hard for a bit. Oh, geez, what a fascinating situation. Imagine your fate being in the palms of a $30 Logitech controller or a Mad Catz controller.
Oh yeah, or a borderline plastic feeling hull. Yeah, it's just bad design.
We got the watermelon duck, dude. How do I switch ducks?
Tab? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, good to be here on this lovely afternoon. And so I have a question I'd like to start off and ask you with. I've been thinking about this for the past day or so. Have you ever gone to a store and maybe you buy, you're kind of window shopping sort of, and you're looking around and you see something and you're like, oh, that looks kind of cool. I think I'll buy that. And then you buy it, and then maybe either immediately after or like maybe an hour or two after, you're like, wait, why did I buy that? And you immediately have buyer's remorse, because that happened to me the other day. I'm curious if that happened to you.
Oh man, I can't say I've really had buyer's remorse in general. Like, I buy a lot of dumb stuff, but I always either I just kind of forget about it. I'm like, oh, look at that. But I never spend so much money on something that makes me feel like, oh, I can't believe I did that. Like, I literally bought a cable for my headphones because I wanted a longer one that plugged in using a 3/4 inch jack, because that's what my Focusrite box uses as the main input, and I've been using an adapter this whole time. And immediately as I got it, I realized that I just bought the wrong thing because I forgot what I was buying after it showed up. So, like, I was like, oh, damn. And then I plugged it in like normal. Like, so I can't say I've really had buyer's remorse. Like, I've bought this big LED orb light. It's kind of garbage, but it just kind of sits there now.
There was the keyboard you bought that broke.
Yeah, the keyboard that just didn't work on arrival, which, I mean, having the one that does work, it's amazing. It really is. I highly would recommend getting this. It's a Cloud9 Ergo keyboard with a split, and it's got RGB, though that was a nice addition. It wasn't actually part of what I was looking for. 10 assignable macros, and
How did you launch in the air that high?
I wasn't even looking.
Did you see that?
I saw it fall down. Man, I gotta stay on that.
Your duck freaking launched all the way up to the atmosphere. That was crazy.
Maybe it was aimed up, but yeah, no. Just in general, I don't get buyer's remorse. I can't say.
Okay, so the other day, I got this disc, because I've been collecting Xbox 360 games lately, and I got this one from a game store, and I came home, I put it in the Xbox, and it wasn't even saying the disc could not be read. It was saying the disc was unrecognizable, which was the first time I've ever seen that on a 360. And when I looked at it, whenever you see that, it usually means you're putting in like a disc that's not compatible, like a Blu-ray disc or a PS3 disc, something like that. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, it's a little scuffed up, but I mean, it doesn't look terrible.
I've never met this disc in my life.
And so I wipe it down with a microfiber cloth. I put it back in. It's still saying unrecognizable disc, and it's got like a weird error code. And I look up the error code, and they're like, "Well, it's either one of two things: either your optical disk drive is effed up, or the disc is just too badly scratched." And I'm like, "Well, I sure hope it's not option A." And I tried out other discs, and they were reading fine. And so I figured it was just something with this one particular disc. So I take it to the store that's about 12 minutes down the road. And because they have a disc cleaning machine, which is something I've discovered over the last year and a half, where there's these machines that literally clean scratches off discs and makes them readable, which is pretty crazy how it works. And so I go and I bring the disc, and it's going to take about 7-10 minutes to clean. So go ahead and look around. So I'm looking around, and it's like this retro game, movie, and record store. And so I'm going up and down the aisles just looking, and I go to the Xbox 360 section, and in this locked case is this Halo 3 limited edition in this like steel box. And I'm like, whoa, that looks pretty cool. And it's only $30. And I'm like, okay. So I pull up my phone, and I'm like, well, I can't ask them to open the case, so I can just look at it and then put it back if I'm not interested. So I look up on my phone, what is the limited edition? And so the Halo 3 limited edition has the game, a behind the scenes DVD where it's like the making of Halo 3 and like making of the music and whatnot, and an art book, a compendium of all the Halo species and like their backgrounds and the lore, the deep lore, and as well as a poster, a really small poster of Chief and Arbiter. And I'm like, well, it's kind of dumb, but it would look really nice on the shelf. And so I was like, I'm going to buy it. And I buy it. I grab the disc that they clean, and I get in my car and I sit down, and immediately I'm like, why the hell did I buy this? I could look up the behind the scenes DVD on YouTube easily. And I already have the Master Chief collection, so I don't need a 360 version of Halo 3. And I'm like, so basically I spent $30 on a tiny poster and an art book. And I'm like, this was a mistake.
Oh, but you got the steel case too, right?
But here's the thing, right? It's got a huge dent right in the center.
Oh, man.
I didn't even notice until I brought it in the car, and I looked at it, and I'm like, wow, it looks like somebody punched. Literally, it looks like somebody punched the center of the case, and it's got this massive dent. And I'm like, this was a mistake. But I'm too embarrassed to go back inside and be like, hey, I'm sorry, I changed my mind. So
sorry, I just realized this was dumb, and you can have it back.
I realized I was stupid in buying this. Please take it back. So I go home, and I'm kind of embarrassed, but usually, like, if you look at the receipt, it's got a return policy for pre-owned products. Like, if you return it within a week, no questions asked or whatever, we'll refund you or exchange it for a similar product. And so I look at the receipt, but for this place, they're like, oh, you can't return it if you don't like the content. We don't accept returns. We only accept returns if it's not working. And I'm like, well, I think the discs work. But by the way, I look at both the discs, and I don't even know how to describe it. It wasn't like they were on like if you open up a DVD case or a CD case, usually there's like a little thing you can put the CD on, and it basically locks into the case. You know what I mean? It didn't.
That's like the opposite of a satisfaction guarantee. It's like, yeah, oh, you don't like it? Too bad.
It's kind of crazy, and I wonder if I still have the receipt with me, because it literally says you can't return it based on not liking the content. I'm like, so if I buy something and I'm like, this sucks, I'm SOL. But the funny thing about this case too was that the two CDs were basically stickied on. Like they latch onto a sticky substance, and that's what holds them in the case. It's like tape almost.
That's awful.
But the tape, it's obviously, this was in 2007, and we're over a decade into the future. The tape residue had worn off, so the discs were basically bouncing around in the case. And they're both really scratched up, like really badly scratched up. And so I'm like, oh, this is my out. I could go in and say, hey, these discs are really badly scratched up. I don't want this anymore. Can I get a refund? And by the way, to make this even better, that disc that I refinished still didn't work on the Xbox. So I basically went to the store for nothing, because the resurfacing did nothing, and I bought a stupid collector's edition that I don't actually want. So I go back 2 days later, and I've got my, my head hung low, and I'm like, hey, look at your subduct launching into the sky. That's crazy.
Yeah, I saw it. I don't know. Maybe it got lodged and the physics bounced it out, or maybe that's intentional.
That's great.
Oh, you know what? It's probably it becoming buoyant after it has been sitting at the bottom, so it just shoots up out of the water.
That is just deep lore right there. So I go back into the store, and I'm like, hey, these discs aren't working. And they look at them and they're like, yeah, they're pretty badly scratched. Well, we can resurface them for you if you want. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to take the money back. And they're like, okay, well, we're so sorry, sir. You know, I've been in that store so much that they recognize me, which is, I guess, somewhat embarrassing when they're like, oh, you've been in here before. And it's like, no, please don't.
Oh man, they're going to try and they're going to be like, this works fine. Huh.
And yeah, I can't go back anymore because they're going to try and be like, this guy's lying. But I got my money back and I left, and that I felt so stupid those 2 days. I was like, why did I buy this dumb thing that I could just look up on YouTube? Or if I wanted to look up the art book, I'm sure somebody's like photo scanned them and put them online.
You could probably just find like official like PDFs at this point. Like the amount of stuff that if you bought like, I don't know, like a deluxe edition on your computer, they probably would just send you a digital art book and it would be just a PDF of all the same stuff.
See, I don't even like that stuff anymore. Like because that's what people do with digital stuff. It's like, well, if you buy the digital deluxe edition, you'll get like a digital art book or a digital wallpaper. And I'm like, why would I spend an extra $10 on this stuff that I could find online for free?
Yeah, the wallpaper is a bit odd. Like that really is. You can find like fan wallpapers that are way sicker, way cooler. You know, you can find you can make your own with the photo modes in every single game that's coming out.
That's very true. You know, back when we were younger, physical and digital, like physical collectors and limited editions and special editions and whatever were way more popular back a decade ago, and back before kind of digital really took over. Did you ever pre-order anything and get like a special edition or a collector's edition that you liked? And did you ever pre-order anything and get the special edition and you're like, wow, this was a waste of money?
I don't think I've ever pre-ordered anything in my life.
You never, or did you ever buy? Well, I mean, don't you have the Fallout Pip-Boy? Like, isn't that a special edition that you bought?
I just bought that online.
Oh, I thought you got the collector's edition, like Fallout 76.
No, I just bought that day one. I don't know. I bought that shortly after it came out. The Pip-Boy I got because I was like, I've always wanted a physical Pip-Boy. I thought it was ridiculous they didn't sell those. So when I found out they actually did, I was disappointed to find that it was the 76 Pip-Boy and not like the Fallout 3 or the Fallout 4 one. Because I really like those.
Do you remember when GameStop used to give you pre-order bonuses when you pre-ordered the game? Like if you pre-ordered Assassin's Creed, you'd get a steel bookcase or a poster. Do you remember that?
I remember them doing that, yeah.
So back when Assassin's Creed 4 was coming out, I went in and I pre-ordered the game for 360, and they gave you, at the time, they gave you a free double-sided poster, and I'm sure you've seen it before. It's the Caribbean island poster that I have.
Yeah, I've probably seen that.
They gave that to me for pre-ordering. Now, I don't know if they did this for everything, but you had to put down like a $10 deposit instead of the usual $5 that we did back then to pre-order. So I got the poster, and then the next day I came back and was like, hey, I'm going to cancel my pre-order. So I canceled my pre-order, but I kept the poster. And I think a lot of people were doing that because they cut that shit out pretty quick. They don't do that anymore.
I mean, when you make it so easily abusable, it's likely that it's going to get abused. Though I'm not going to condone that behavior of yours.
I mean, I was young. At this point, it was, I think a decade ago, because Assassin's Creed 4 came out in 2013. So yeah, this was a decade ago.
Man,
young David, gaming the system. But here, on a similar note, I'm curious to ask, have you ever gone into a store and you witness somebody, like maybe a cashier or a cook or somebody, having a meltdown, and you're just like, oh, I don't know if I want to, maybe I shouldn't eat in here or something like that? Like, has that ever happened to you?
That wasn't a place that I already work at.
Well, yeah. Besides that,
God, I can't say that I've seen anything like that. I've seen I see it online. I see other people being psychotic and freaking out or doing all sorts of weird shit.
About a month ago, or maybe a little over a month ago, I went to a Wingstop. I had bought food on the app, and it had said, okay, it's going to be ready about 20 minutes. So I walk into this Wingstop, and it's just packed full of people waiting for their food. And I guess they had gotten backed up from orders, and so nobody was getting their food, and this wing stop was just packed to the brim with people, and all levels of frustration, people that had been there for quite a while waiting for their food, and like nothing was coming out. And I'm just standing there and I'm like, maybe I should just cut my losses and leave. But I was just kind of curious to see how things would evolve. And, you know, obviously people are getting really frustrated because they want their food and they're getting antsy and whatnot. And I guess the cashier that was taking orders and at the front, who looked like they were in high school, just decided, you know what, I'm done. And he just walked out, and there was nobody up front, and we're all just kind of standing there like what do we do? He just left. And I think there was maybe the manager or someone like saw that nobody was up front, and they were like, well, where did he go? And we're all just like, yeah, he just left, dude. He just said F this and walked out. And I and I think that I got a refund because the manager was like, all right, I don't know when we're gonna get food out, so I'm just gonna give refunds to you guys, and sorry, you know, just give me your name and your order and I'll refund you, and you can stick around if you want. But it's just an example of just like, wow, it's really and it was like Friday afternoon, so I guess maybe like the dinner rush, so to speak. They didn't prepare for it, but yeah, this teenager was like, you know what, I'm done, and just walked out.
I mean, honestly, I don't know if I would say I respect that, but I can understand that. Oops. I totally get that. Like, the place is full, things aren't working out right, people are just complaining. And I've had that. Like, is that me or is that you?
No, we're good.
Okay. That feeling of just like, no, I don't have to deal with this. I'm not going to deal with this. I'm leaving. But I know I have to deal with this, or I won't have money. I won't be able to pay my bills. But I mean, if you're working at a job like Wingstop, like any other kind of fast food place, the job that you take isn't going to make that big of a difference. I'm lucky enough to have one job that pays my bills, but those are like, this is a unique position for me that I won't be able to go to just anywhere else and have the same experience, you know?
I assume the kid was probably like, you know, I could get a different job, you know, because he's a teenager, he's not like an adult, so he probably just thought I could go work somewhere else and just bounce. But it was just funny to see happen in person. This person just, he literally looked around, and, you know, everyone's getting mad and like, you know, you said 10 minutes, you said my food would be ready 10 minutes, 20 minutes ago. And he just like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, no, especially if you're doing what day did you say this was? Like a Friday?
This was Friday afternoon.
Yeah, a Friday afternoon, a rush hour, and you got one cashier. That's just poor management, and that's a reason people don't want to go to these jobs that don't pay. Why would you? You're gonna get there. You're gonna be the only one dealing with an overwhelmingly large amount of people, and they're all gonna be angry because you got one guy in the back making the food. You got the guy on the front. Sometimes it's the same guy. No, like hell no, I ain't doing that. I'm gonna piss off right away. That's just a red flag. You walk in, you got two guys, like, this place ain't managed well. I'm out.
Yeah, I've gone there a couple more times. There's a different Wingstop that I go to, because that one that's literally the only unfortunate thing about the Wingstop, it's literally like 2 seconds away from where I live, so it's convenient. But there's been multiple times that I've gone there and they've just botched orders completely. And the times that I've been there since that meltdown, I've never seen that kid again. So I assume he just raged quit.
Yeah.
But that was wild.
You know, it is nice to kind of see. Well, I don't know if this is a nice thing, actually.
I love it.
No, but like, as you get older, right? And we start to pay a lot more attention to where we're eating. Even if it's the same garbage, the place matters so much more. Like, I eat McDonald's a lot, right? Or at least I had. I haven't done it recently in a while, but I'll go to one specific McDonald's because I can guarantee that this one's quality is so much better than every other McDonald's that I've been to. It's same thing, like we got one KFC like 20 minutes away because of there's no good freeway to it, and it's all streets. So it's been 50-50. So it's like, I'm just not gonna go there anymore. Like, if I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna, like, when they had the Beyond Nuggets, right, or whatever it was some kind of fake chicken.
Yeah.
And what's that the kid who does the reviews in the suit?
Oh, Review bra.
Yeah, so he did a review on them, and I watched it because I was like, oh, I'm very interested into if these are going to be good, because if you can get a good meat substitute, if I could get good meat substitutes that had all the benefits and none of the drawbacks, then I would probably just eat those. If they could taste the same or better, that's what I want. So I every time there's a new meat product, I want to try it out, or a new fake meat product, I want to try it out. And in this case, KFC did. So I tried it out, and the first time I got it, they were fresh, they were hot, they were amazing, they were perfect. But his video, you could see him trying to like tear them apart, with just trying to bite into them and eat them at all, and it was hard. And I was like, oh, maybe it was just he got a bad batch or he's got a bad KFC. And then I went and I got him again another time because that's also their only nugget option, which was weird, but it was exactly like the video. I was amazed at how hard it was, like biting into a book, like into layers of paper. You couldn't just tear it off. It was
Sounds miserable.
It was. The flavor was okay, but like that was just not being able to bite into your food product because it's too hard after 5 minutes of cooling down. That's a bad sign. If it was just any more chewable, it would have been fine. But I don't know what they did, what it was made out of, how it was, what do you call it? Like constructed, the way it was layer, so that it was literally like paper layered on top of each other.
It tasted like a book. It's terrible.
It didn't taste like it tasted like chicken-ish. It tastes like their seasoning blend or whatever they use, and their batter. Like that was the flavor wasn't the bad part. It was the feeling of biting into it when it was just. It was still warm, It wasn't like, oh, this is lukewarm, I don't want to eat this. This is just not hot. It's an edible temperature, but it is not an edible texture because maybe the bill of your hat is a better texture comparison. It was just, you couldn't bite into it and take a piece off. And the nuggets were just big enough that if you put the whole thing in your mouth, you'd be sitting there chewing for like 15 minutes before you actually broke it down enough to just finish chewing and then swallowing. It was, it wasn't the best experience.
How many did you eat before you threw in the towel?
I may have finished it. I may have left like 2 or 3. I don't remember how many it was. It might have been a 6-pack or something like that, but
so
I don't go to that KFC anymore.
So
for more than just that experience, there were more that made me decide no, because they also just have inconsistent quality.
So this reminds me, a couple of years ago when I was in college, Burger King just wheeled out their 10 nuggets for $1 thing. And
oh my God.
For all the people in the audience who, have been through college and lived that lifestyle, knows that you really try to, get the most for the limited amount of money that you have. So if you're there and you see 10 nuggets for $1, you're like, oh my God, that's a whole dinner for $10. And so me and my roommates were sitting there. We watched that. We were kind of, I think we were watching an NBA game at the time, and it was on a commercial. And we were like, well, when it's halftime, why don't we all get these nuggets? Because there was a Burger King like 5 minutes down the road. So we're like, all right, great, let's do that. Because we were all hungry, we hadn't eaten yet. So we all hopped in my friend's car and we drove over to this Burger King and each got 10 nuggets for $1. And I believe we also got fries and a drink on the side. But yeah, so we all come home and all right, let's try these nuggets. And we're already a little hesitant because obviously, Burger King, like any company, is all about trying to get profit. And obviously 10 nuggets for $1, they probably had to cut corners. And we all start eating, and immediately all 3 of us are just kind of like, something doesn't seem right. Or sorry, there's 4 of us, and we're all just like, something seems off about these, but we're all hungry. And so I eat all of them. 2 of my friends eat all of them. And then the 4th one eats about like half. He eats like 5 or 6. And we're all just kind of sitting there, and we're all just kind of starting to feel weird, like something's off. And the guy that ate 5 or 6 immediately stands up, calmly walks over to the bathroom and pukes in the toilet.
Oh my God.
And we're all just sitting there like, oh, what? And he's like, guys, I feel like shit. And he's like, starts puking his guts out. We're like, no, this can't be happening. And so all of us are kind of feeling weird, but maybe we just chalk it up to our friend having a weak stomach. You know, we're like, okay, maybe we'll be fine. And then at the time, one of our friends was throwing a party at the house down the road. So we decided to pull up. And we all are there. My friend that threw up stayed home for obvious reasons. But the other 3 of us go to this party. And it was it was like a relaxed, I think they had Mario Kart on the TV. So, you know, I was all about that lifestyle. And I'm sitting down. Oh, yeah, baby. And so I'm sitting down and I'm watching. And all of a sudden, I start feeling like I'm going to throw up. And I look at one of my roommates is sitting next to me. And I go, hey, man, I think we should go home. He's like, yeah, you're right. I feel really bad, too. And then the third friend is like kind of in the corner. And he's like, I want to go home. And so we all get back in we were there for like 20 minutes. And we all decide to leave. And my friend's like, well, you just got here. And we're like, we'll explain later. And so we all go back in the car, and I'm in the back seat. My 2 friends are in the front, and the guy driving, it's like a 5-6 minute drive home. The guy driving immediately pulls over to the side, gets out and throws up on the grass. And we're like, oh no. And he like stumbles back into the car, and he's like, something was wrong with those nuggets, guys. And as we pull up is when I start feeling like I'm about to lose my lunch. And so we pull up to the driveway, and I leap out of the car, sprint inside, and I'm the next one to throw up. And the guy my roommate who threw up first and stayed behind is like laying on the floor, and his girlfriend was there. Like, she had showed up and was like, guys, what happened? Like, you guys were fine earlier. Now all 4 of you are sick. And really, it was the nuggets. And she's like, I don't even want to know. And we all decide to go to bed. The 4th guy hadn't thrown up yet. The next day, we all got up and we all kind of felt ill. I felt sick. And then the 4th guy was like, yeah, overnight I threw up. So all 4 of us threw up from these stupid dollar nuggets. So to those of you in the audience, do not get those dollar nuggets. Obviously, I don't know what they did or what corners they cut, but it was no bueno. And oh man, that was some of the worst food I think I've ever had. But hey, when you're a college kid, you know, you're trying to budget, and that was budgeting. So that nugget story of the KFC nuggets reminded me of that. And that was a bad night. All of us were just really ill. You know, afterwards.
I haven't had Burger King in over 10 years. The last time I had it, at least that I can remember, was middle school. I think I was... See, I wasn't the lucky, like, oh no, I got a doctor's appointment. I guess I get the whole day off. Like, no, I had a doctor's appointment. Then my mom was like, all right, let's pick up some food. And I was like, oh, cool, let's get some Burger King. I feel like I'm having a Whopper. And she's like, all right, so we go through, we get Burger King. And, you know, going out to eat, even fast food, wasn't something we got to do all the time. So, you know, it's always a valuable thing for us, you know? Like, oh, I love fast food because we don't get to eat it that much.
Heck yeah, dude, we get fast food. Christmas came early.
Exactly, yeah, right? Like, because I just loved eating out, but we didn't get to do it because it was, you know, expensive, and there's 4 other kids that we have to feed, right? So we, I get out of the doctor's office, we pick up the Burger King, I get the Whopper, and I'm starting to eat it in the car so I don't have to deal with it while I'm at school. My mom's like, all right, yeah, we'll finish before you have to, like, get out and go in. So I'm like, I get halfway through this burger, and I'm like, Mom, I'm so sorry. I can't eat this. This is awful. It was just the nastiest experience I've ever had eating a burger. And I've had, recently, a burger that was not pleasant. It was very unfun.
Where was the other burger that you very unfun?
Yes.
Where was this unfun burger that you got?
You know, I'm a burger connoisseur. I love me a good burger. So anytime I see, because I get a lot of food delivered because I'm wasteful like that. Also, I like paying the Uber Eats people. You know, I give them a lot of money. I mean the drivers, not. I mean, I also end up giving Uber Eats a lot of money too. But mainly, it's the drivers. They make the economy go around. So I I'm scrolling through. I'm like, what do I want to eat this time? And I'm like, I see this place that I hadn't seen before. I'm like, oh, where's this? I look at it. It's in the mall nearby. So I'm like, oh, cool. So it's like not in the food court, but on like the outside area where all the restaurants are. And so it's called The Stand. And
Okay.
one of our friends, actually, he went there to a different location. I think he was somewhere in the valley where he went for this one. And he said it was really good. He really enjoyed it. I didn't hear about this until after I'd already had my experience. So, oh well. Anyway, I get this burger, right? And it gets delivered. I'm like, great, this smells great. It looks good. It was just, my go-to burger build is just meat, cheese, bun. Sometimes I add bacon or an egg. Like fat burger,
nice.
I'll do bacon and egg on top.
Very nice.
And I like sauce. So I'd go for mayo, ketchup, and mustard. All three of them. I don't know what they had available, but they had a burger sauce already. So I was like, okay, I'll try their burger sauce. I took a bite into the burger sandwich, same thing. And there's this weird taste that I can't place. I'm like, this isn't burger. This doesn't taste like burger. This is wrong. There's something wrong here.
Something doesn't seem right.
Yeah, and I couldn't, when I didn't taste the burger sauce by itself, so I don't know if it was just the burger sauce that they used or if there was some other factor at hand. And I get about, I think I also get about halfway through this one, and I'm like, I don't think I should finish this because this is wrong. And it was this weird flavor that I feel like it could have been like some kind of soy flavor, or it was something that you would either eat with seafood or was seafood in the burger
sauce?
flavor. The flavor of the burger had this in the background, and that's what was making me feel weird about it, because your meat, your beef, your cow shouldn't taste like fish. You know?
That's very concerning.
Yeah, so I couldn't, while I'm eating it, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, what is this taste that I can't place? And it's some kind of seafood-esque flavor. The genre of seafood in flavor. And
That's just making me feel sick thinking about that, biting into a burger and it tastes like shrimp. It's just miserable.
It was not that aggressive. It wasn't that in your face. You know, it wasn't so much that like, this tastes like fish. It was just, this tastes weird, and that hint of flavor tastes like it could be associated with a seafood dish. And I don't like that. I think I just got it with fries and maybe a drink, or maybe I just drank one of the things I had here. But the fries were okay. There was nothing wrong with them. They were very standard. I wouldn't say they were exceptional. But man, it was just off-putting. I'm not going to get it delivered again. I wouldn't mind going into the restaurant and trying it again. You know, I like to give people second chances. Except Burger King. And but this place is, you know, based on the other review that I heard, was really good. Their interior design was really nice, according to him as well. So I was like, I like nice places. It sounded like it would be fine. And so I wouldn't mind trying it again, but I'm not getting it delivered again, because it could also have to do with, because when you get food delivered, you know, it gets that time to sit.
Yeah.
Before you eat it, and it probably couldn't have been more than 5 to 10 minutes. In that 5 to 10 minutes range, definitely not 10 minutes, not past 10 minutes, because I live so close to the area. I only don't drive because I'm a loser.
You were busy.
I mean,
Your
yeah.
schedule was booked.
I had, well, it certainly didn't have recording and editing to do, because I was, or maybe I did. This was a few weeks ago, maybe like a month or so. So I might have actually been in the middle of doing my regular editing before it all
There you go. You were preoccupied entertaining the people.
Yes. Entertainment.
That is nauseating, though. If I bit into a burger and it tasted like fish, would ruin my whole afternoon.
Yeah, if it's not a fish burger, and I don't recommend getting fish burgers, that doesn't sound pleasant. I'd rather just, like, fish tacos? Totally. Fish and chips? I mean, there's your fish burger right there. It's already got the bread.
Pretty much, yeah.
But a fish burger, it's not my thing.
Yeah, like a filet o fish. My dad loves filet o fishes, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, fast food fish is
You're gonna have a bad time.
I will not trust it. I'm not even gonna try it.
Folks watching this video, do not go to Long John Silver's. There's a reason why that chain is dead. All right, don't get fast food seafood. That's probably, honestly, like, I would rather have the world's worst burger than mediocre fast food seafood. It is really bad,
man.
Oh man. Well, I wanted to also discuss, we were talking about our friends and our stories involving our friends. I was talking to a friend of mine from high school. We were catching up, and we were talking about game series that, like, went off the rails with sequels. And when I say that, I'm gonna preference by explaining the history of the Ninja Gaiden games from the 2000s. And the reason why I want to say this is because when I talk about games that, like, game series that really, like, went off the rails and almost psychotic, the Ninja Gaiden trilogy from a decade ago fits the bill. And I think you're going to really enjoy this here. So about a year and a half ago, when I was buying, before I was collecting Xbox 360 games, I was collecting PS3 games. And I love hack and slash games. I love the God of War games. I like Metal Gear Rising and Devil May Cry and all those types of games. I had never really got into the Ninja Gaiden series. Now, listeners at home who may not be aware, Ninja Gaiden started out on the NES way back when, and it used to be a really difficult platformer. In fact, I think it really got popular in mainstream when the Angry Video Game Nerd made his video on it, like, a long time ago on the NES games. Like, these games used to be really, really difficult. And there were a few on the NES, and then it went dormant for about 2 decades. And then in the mid-2000s, a company called Koei Tecmo, who you may know is famous for the Dynasty Warriors franchise and the Dead or Alive games, as well as the infamous Dead or Alive beach volleyball game. But they decided to reboot the Ninja Gaiden series in the mid-2000s. So I'm just going to go ahead and list off, like, the series of games, and you'll understand as I'm explaining how this, like, got crazy. So in 2004, they released the first one, Ninja Gaiden, on the original Xbox. Okay, that was the first release, and it was a decent, pretty fun hack and slash. At the time, it was really the only hack and slash that the Xbox had, because at that time, the God of War series was about to come out on the PS2. So they released Ninja Gaiden. And then, about a year or two later, they release Ninja Gaiden Black, which is basically the director's cut of Ninja Gaiden, where they, like, improved a bunch of stuff. They added a bunch of puzzles and a little bit of platforming to harken back to the NES days. And so they did that, and everyone loved it in the community. They thought it was really great. But then, a year later, when the new systems were about to come out, the PS3 and the Xbox 360, they decided, now keep in mind, Ninja Gaiden 1 and Ninja Gaiden Black had been on the original Xbox. But then Koei Tecmo was like, you know what, for the PS3 only on the PS3, not the Xbox 360, we're going to release Ninja Gaiden Sigma, which is another version of Ninja Gaiden 1, where they completely redid, like, the mechanics of the game, like running on water and how Ryu, the main character, moves. And they got rid of all the puzzles from Ninja Gaiden Black, redid the mechanics for, like, the sword fighting and whatnot. And it was like their big, like, and they, like, redid the graphics too, because it was the PS3. And they put that on the PS3, and that was like here's Ninja Gaiden 1 next gen. And everyone was like, yeah, but we liked all the puzzles and stuff. And why isn't this on the 360? Why is it only on the PS3? And they're like, well, don't worry about it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make Ninja Gaiden 2. Finally, they're moving away from Ninja Gaiden 1 after 3 games with the same plot. We're going to make Ninja Gaiden 2 for the Xbox 360, only on the Xbox 360. So
Wait, so they made
yeah,
the first Ninja Gaiden of this bit here for the PS3, and then they made the sequel for just the Xbox?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, but they're like, it was really fun. It was really, really hard. And I forgot to mention that the original Ninja Gaiden, and it was extremely difficult, like punishingly so. And the reason why they liked Black, because they kind of made the difficulty more bearable and like added difficulty modes. So they released Gaiden 2 on the Xbox 360, and everyone loves it. They think it's fantastic. They think it's great. Also, your submarine duck is stuck on the concrete there in the corner.
Tried to escape. Oh, looks
So
like he's rolling away.
They do that. But then Koei Tecmo's like, oh, don't worry. We haven't forgotten about the PlayStation. We're going to release Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 for the PS3 only. And so they put that in there. And you know what they did? They got rid of all the blood from Ninja Gaiden 2. And when you cut off a ninja's limb, they no longer spray blood. You know what they spray? Purple mist. Purple mist,
of course.
When you behead a ninja, when you cut off his limbs, and keep in mind that the what makes Ninja Gaiden really popular is the insane combos that you can pull off. Like, and out of all the hack and slashes I played, Ninja Gaiden is easily the flashiest and most like eye popping, in my opinion. But they got rid of all the blood in Sigma 2. They were like, we're sorry. We understand we made the original Ninja Gaiden 2 way too difficult. Which it really wasn't that difficult, but in Koei's head, they're like, no, it's too difficult. We're gonna scale back the enemies, but don't you worry, because we're gonna bring in some girls from the Dead or Alive series, and we're gonna give them little tiny chapters here to make up for reducing enemies and we're getting rid of the blood. So here's some eye candy. Here's your anime waifus and our ninja game. Enjoy. And everyone was like, well, I mean, that's okay, but we kind of like our blood and our flashy action. And it's like. And they also took away weapons that they give Ryu to give to these girls who only have like 1 or 2 chapters each. And because they were duct taped into the story, like they stick out like a sore thumb, like plot wise, because they shoehorned in these girls and like they're just there. And it's like, wait, why are they here? Why is this girl from Dead or Alive here? Well, she just is. So Sigma 2 comes out and nobody really likes it. They're like,
not have like difficulty sliders or something?
They do. But it's kind of like negligible, basically. They didn't really do a good job of differentiating. So, Sigma 2 comes out on the PS3 only. And the director for these games leaves Koei Tecmo and makes his own studio. So he goes away. And they need to make a third game because Ninja Gaiden's at its most popular. These reboot games are really, really popular. Even though Sigma 2 is not that good. And I've played both the original Ninja Gaiden 2 and Sigma 2. I do like the original more than... Oh, there goes your submarine duck flying across the pool.
Back to the pond, baby.
So this is where it gets chaotic. And not that it hasn't been chaotic already, but this is where it gets really chaotic. So they announced Ninja Gaiden 3. And the big pull for this is... Guess what, guys? It's going to be on the Wii U. And everyone's like, oh,
yeah.
Can we have Xbox 360 and PS3 versions too? And they're like, yeah, okay, fine. But this was around 2012, and Koei Tecmo is the parent company. Team Ninja is the company that was like tasked to make these games.
The actual developing team.
Yeah. So Koei's like, listen, we need these games out by Christmas. Okay, so you need to push this out. They were not even close to being done with 3 at all. And they're like,
sounds about right.
Okay, we're going to put in a bunch of QTEs to mask the areas we haven't finished. And we're only going to give Ryu 1 weapon, which is insane because all the previous games, one of the main draws as well was the insane amount of weapons you could have and like the cool combos that you could do with these weapons. You had your main sword. You could also get 2 swords. You get a scythe, nunchucks, tonfa. You could get a spear, and some other cool weapons that I'm drawing a blank on. But they only had the 1 sword in 3. So 1 sword, QTEs, a lot of wall climbing sections as well to mask areas they didn't finish. No blood. Again, no blood at all. And they made this terrible story, which I'll get into a little bit later, but this story is like truly awful. But anyway, they released Ninja Gaiden 3, and it's clearly unfinished. Like even with the QTEs and the wall climbing, it's very obvious that it's being held together with like toothpicks and duct tape. And everyone's like, "This sucks. This is terrible." And, like it didn't sell that well, and because of word of mouth, like it was just really awful in every way. And Koei Tecmo was like, "Oh, we're sorry. Here, we're gonna make just like the other two games. We're gonna make a director's cut." Now, if you remember, the first director's cut version was Ninja Gaiden Sigma, and then the second game's director's cut was Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. So, obviously, the third game is going to be Ninja Gaiden Sigma 3, right?
No, it's got to be Ninja Gaiden Alpha.
No, wrong. It's Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge. And they're like, here you go, guys. Look, we got rid of all the QTEs. Well, actually, not all of them, because some are just too baked into the game that we couldn't remove them. But we got rid of most of them.
I think it should be said that QTE means Quick Time Event, and it's the thing where where it's essentially a scripted cutscene where it asks you to press a button in order to finish the thing that's happening or to fail the thing that's happening.
Yeah, it's crap, and it was really popular in the 2010s, and I'm glad that it's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah, they mask them in a lot of ways still, like in like Spider-Man. I think PS4, like you'll do a thing and then it'll be like the car chases. You'll try to stop the car, and then at the end, it just wants you to spam a button. Like those are more or less the same thing, just evolved into something that's masked as more gameplay. But they've kind of become a little bit necessary in order to achieve certain effects. But even so, it does come off as lazy when used and abused wrong. Yeah. Or used wrong and abused.
So they released Razor's Edge, and they're like, "Oh, we got rid of most of the QTEs. I mean, there's still wall climbing, but it's like maybe like one or two sections, and we brought back the blood, and we have all these weapons, and as a sorry, we even included the cute girls from Dead or Alive, but they're not in the story this time because, one of them is, but the rest, I mean, you could do like a challenge mode, but yeah, we got cute girls in it now, and we'll put them on the box art too, so you could like have the eye candy, and we're sorry here." And everyone was like, "We're sorry. This game still sucks." And one of the main reasons why it sucks so much is the story. Now, in the first two games, it's very clear. The main character's name is Ryu Hayabusa, and he's like all about the ninja code and the way of the ninja and honor and all the ninja stuff that you would expect of like your typical video game hero. And he's always about the mission and defeating evil. He's got all these girls falling for him because, 2000s gaming. But he doesn't have time for women. He's only got the ninja way. You know what I mean? He's very honorable. Exactly. He studied the way of the blade. But he's a very honorable dude, and he only kills demons or any of the rival ninjas that attack him first. They always make it a point that if he ever kills any humans, it's because they ambushed him or tried to kill him first. And he's even let people walk away, and let him have a second chance. However, because the director of the first two games left and is doing his own thing, they brought in this new guy. And the new guy was like, "Well, this is 2012. What's really popular? Edge. Edge is really popular. That's why it's called the Razor's Edge, by the way." So
Razors.
So he's like, Call of Duty 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 had just come out, which had, similar to Modern Warfare 2, the shocking, edgy scenes. Spec Ops: The Line had come out at the time, which was like really like, oh, we're morally gray. There's no black and white in war. You could do evil things for the name of good. So the third game's story is basically that it's this enemy who's like, "Ryu Hayabusa, you think you're a good man, but actually you're not so good." And he even does the "we're not so different, you and I." And the beginning of the first, so they actually cut sections of the story out of Razor's Edge because people reacted so poorly to it. And a good example is at the very first level, the very first fight of the very first level of the game in Ninja Gaiden 3, you kill a bunch of you kill a bunch of members of the IRA, basically, the Irish Republican Army, which is like, why the Irish Republic? Yeah, like why the hell are we killing? Like, why? But you just do.
Someone's gotta put those patties down.
So at the end of this fight, this guy comes out from behind the car and he's like, "I surrender. I give up." He puts down his weapon. He's like, "I got a family, man. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm sorry. Just let me go. Let me go back to my wife and kid. And of course, Ryu in a quick time event. It's a quick time event. You walk up and you cut the guy in half, and it's supposed to be like Ryu's like, oh, holy shit, he's actually kind of a bad dude. And it just doesn't fit the themes at all from any of the other games, because you would never do that in 1 or 2. But they, because they got to have their edge. They're like, oh, look at how evil he can be. And there's plenty of other moments in the story where he does like morally questionable things, and everyone's like, this is terrible, get rid of this. And they're like, okay, we're sorry. So they remove that scene where he cuts the guy in half in Razor's Edge. But then they did what a lot of games like to do, where they introduce a child and like make Ryu the surrogate dad. And it's like this, like, it's similar to like The Last of Us, where it's like, Joel's got to figure out how to be a dad again and like learn to love Ellie. Well, Ryu Hayabusa's got to figure out how to love this random kid. And, even though he's a big, scary ninja and he's got a horrible, bloody past, he could still be a good guy and take care of this kid. And it's just like, oh, it just doesn't fit at all. And nobody liked it, and everyone thought it was terrible. And they're like, please remove a lot of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, we're sorry. Here's Razor's Edge. We got rid of most of the edgy stuff. We're sorry. And even though they did that, it still sold really poorly. So then they're like, well, let's give it one more try. And so they make another game called Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z, which is a spin-off hack and slash game that's
Dragon Ball Z.
Pretty much. Next time on Yaiba Gaiden Z, they make this spin-off hack and slash game with a completely different art style. And it's like, how they made that reboot Devil May Cry game that was like a completely different Dante, and he had like black hair instead of white hair and was like edgy and whatnot.
Yeah. Or he was a youth.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing with this Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z game.
Okay.
And so he's this edgy, he talks back to women, and he makes like sexual innuendos every other line. And he's like, yeah, what up, baby? Let's have sex later. And it's like, everyone was like, oh my God, what have you done?
Sorry, is Koei part of a bigger conglomerate, or are they the like they're the head? The head of their.
They're the head of their own thing. They're their own company. Koei Tecmo.
They're the parent of parents.
Yeah, yeah. And so they have a bunch of divisions, like their main division, Team Ninja's a division. They also have stuff like Omega Force and Ruby Party, who made other games. But yeah, they're most known for their Dead or Alive games. They've also made Fatal Frame. The Fatal Frame games, they had their own subdivision making that.
Yeah, for some reason I thought they were part of like Capcom or something, but no, they have no association. Sorry, anyway, continue. That just popped in my head.
No problem. They released Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z in 2014, and everyone's like, this is even worse than Razor's Edge in 3. Please stop. And they're like, okay, you know what? Fine. You don't want any Ninja Gaiden? We're not doing Ninja Gaiden anymore. So that was the last game they released until 2021, when, to kick up on the craze of remastering games, Koei Tecmo released the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection on back in I want to say 2021, maybe 2022, but
was it really that recent?
Yeah, it was the first 3 games. However, it was Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge. And they're like, here's a triple pack, you can have this. And everyone was like, well, what about Ninja Gaiden Black and the original Ninja Gaiden 2? Like, can we have those two? Like, no.
The ones we liked?
Yeah, the ones we actually... No, you can't. And so they released...
We didn't make those. We just absorbed them.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, no. Those don't exist. But the problem is, unfortunately, Koei Tecmo has a history of really, really bad PC ports. For example, they released Fatal Frame Made into the Blackwater, which was their most recent Fatal Frame from a decade ago as well. They haven't made a new one since, but they released it. They did like a remaster on the PC, and it was extremely broken and poorly optimized. And it was the same thing with the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection. It was poorly optimized, and it ran really badly, which for a game like Ninja Gaiden, which is all about speed and flashy combos, you really can't have any lag, especially in combat, because then you're dropping combos and getting killed easily.
Yeah.
And it was a really bad port, and everyone was like, this is terrible. Please fix this. And they drugged their feet, and were like, okay, I guess we'll fix it. So they
dragged.
They dragged their feet.
If you say they drugged their feet, that just sounds like they like.
Well, they might as well have, because they released this half-baked patch. There you go. didn't fix anything. Everyone's like, you guys suck, stop. And so no news for new Ninja Gaiden games since then. Like all they do now is make Dynasty Warriors games. They haven't made a Fatal Frame in a decade. They did re-release their 4th game as a remaster as well last year. They don't make Dead or Alive games. They don't make Ninja Gaiden. They don't make Fatal Frame. They just make Dynasty Warriors. Or they also made Fire Emblem Warriors as a spin-off with Nintendo. So that's the history. That's the chaotic history of Ninja Gaiden.
So the Ninja Gaiden, the Black was the one that was liked, right? And that was hack and slash 2.
So it was Ninja Gaiden 1, and then they did like a director's cut called Ninja Gaiden Black, which was like improved for the original Xbox. And then to celebrate next gen consoles, they did Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1, which was like a complete remaster of the first game, not of Black, but of the first game for next gen. But it was not that good compared to Black, and it was like, but why'd you do this? And they're like, but next gen, isn't this cool?
Okay, and they were, all of the 3D Ninja Gaidens have been hack and slash, right?
Yes.
So based on the gameplay that you find in the, I guess the original, like the classic side scroller, do you feel like a hack and slash is best represented for it? I know you like hack and slashes, but do you feel that that's the right way to go in changing? Because I know, 2D to 3D changes make a huge world of difference. Like if you compare, let's say, Mario as a platformer on side scroller to its like the Super Mario 64, right? It's a really well done iteration. Of course, there's a lot of things that are different. You're not jumping on nearly as many blocks and then hitting blocks. It's a lot more physical. Like you're on a platform that's actually just a plateau that's part of an entire landscape. Like how it adapts to being transferred from one type to another. How do you feel Ninja Gaiden went? Like, do you think they went the right way?
I think they were great. I think having played it these last couple of years, I could see why they were so beloved at their peak. It really is a ton of fun, especially the base second game is an absurd amount of fun. I love pulling off crazy combos. I love switching weapons and seeing what cool things you can pull off with it. I think the story is fine. I mean, the story for these games was never a huge selling point. It was always like, look what crazy stuff you could do with Ryu, and like there's like assassinations, like if you're sneaking up on the enemy, how you kill them with the weapons is different, and like boss fights have secret strategies based on which weapons you have, and like New Game Plus is a completely different experience if you have all the weapons maxed out, and each difficulty is like a whole different experience as well. And there's very much a lot of strategy in this game. And again, I love the God of War series, but for me, whenever I play one of the original God of Wars, I do feel like I'm kind of just doing the same combo over and over and over again. But God of War works because the setting is a lot of fun to be in, and fighting, like especially in God of War 3, where you're fighting all the gods, and it's just this crazy set pieces and whatnot. It's a lot of fun. But Ninja Gaiden, in my opinion, when it comes to the hack and slash, is the most technically impressive game series I've played, which is one of the big reasons why people hated the base release of 3, because they removed all the weapons, and like there were barely any combos in the game because, again, it was so badly unfinished, and they tried to fix it with Razor Edge. They didn't really do much. Like, it still sucks. And Koei Tecmo pretty much just gave up. They're like, we don't want to do this anymore. Nobody likes us.
Yeah, it is. Making a sequel, I think, is a challenge for a lot of developers, especially in that time, right? In what was the 360 era to was it 360 to Xbox One, or was it like Xbox to Xbox 360?
Yeah, it was the Xbox original to Xbox 360.
Okay.
And the last game, actually, I think Ninja Gaiden Yaiba Z. I didn't play this one, so I forgot I'm pretty sure that was a PS4 Xbox One game, because that got released in 2014. But again, nobody really liked it, so barely anyone played it. But the height of its popularity was Xbox to Xbox 360, and then the occasional PS3 release, which is why I said it was chaotic, because they're like, oh yeah, guys, We got Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1 for the PS3. What about the 360? No. You can have Ninja Gaiden 2. Well, can we have Ninja Gaiden 2 on the PS3? No. You can have Sigma 2. Well, can we have Sigma 2 on the Xbox 360? No. No,
Yeah,
you can't.
they of course, when it comes to developers and doing what seems to be obvious, they like to not do that. It seems like all the damn time. Like, oh yeah, all you have to do, like, let's say, we've talked about this before. Gears of War. What was it? The third one had the best horde mode, I think. I can't remember. And that horde mode was like one of the iconic multiplayer functions. You get a LAN party, you're doing horde mode. It's awesome. It seems so obvious that just port it to PC and you'll sell. And all you have to do is a port. Like, the port can't nearly cost you as much as your profits will be. It's a guaranteed win. It's much less of a guaranteed win now, as Gears of War kind of killed itself. So it's far less of an obvious decision. But at the time, like, I get they had their exclusivity with Xbox, but Xbox runs their exclusive deals with PC now because they know. I think they actually just mentioned recently they failed. they admitted that they lost the console wars, and they have, because when it comes to like hardware, even though I don't know if the PS5 is actually better or not, but their jump into the VR landscape with the PSVR 2 is such a step up from a lot of what do you call it? PC VR competitors. They stand
Oculus
out.
Rift? You talking about Oculus?
I'm talking in general, like
Just VR in general. Okay.
Yeah, like the Oculus, or I guess what's it called? The Quest, the
Metaverse, the Metaverse,
the Meta Quest, the HTC Vive, the Steam one. Well, Index, the Valve Index. Like, the Valve Index had great controllers that really impressive. Having cameras on every single finger is a little crazy, but it works so well in creating an immersion that you wouldn't experience. The PSVR, using their adaptive trigger technology from their DualSense and their haptic their haptic sense, where it is just that much more reactive to what you're touching and all that. That's huge. Using the eye tracking, I think they also use the pancake lenses, though I'm not 100% sure on that. It's easily, based on what the market has, at least in the United States, because we don't have the Pico, I don't think, or at least the Pico 4 we don't have. That's the best price to quality ratio is right there. And the reason I brought this up was because Xbox, Microsoft, seeing that they're not going to try to compete with that. They don't even think VR is worth bothering with right now. They're letting everyone else do it because they think it's not profitable enough. And admittedly, the games that you can get, there's a lot of really cool ones, but very few that I feel stand out that much more than the 5 titles that I would go back to playing. Like, Blade and Sorcery is, in my opinion, the best sword fighting, magic, like, with its modding capability, now with direct mod support within the game. Like, you don't have to go and download it, put it in a folder. Like, no, you just go onto the in-game functions, download it from there before the game fully injects it and loads in, and you have that. It's already there. Making it so it's the best Star Wars game because of those mods. You want a Star Wars arena fighter where you play as a Jedi? Great, get this mod. Oh, you don't want to be the Jedi? You want to have the blasters? Awesome, get this mod. Like, it's so good at doing so many things. Blade and Sorcery is the way to go. And then Contractors is the same thing, but for pure shooters. Like, oh, did you want to play a VR version of Star Wars Battlefront 2? You can play it on contractors. Did you want to do a Revolutionary War fight for some weird reason? You can do that on contractors. Like, it's got all that in there. And that's just 2 of them. There's a lot of people really like Arizona Sunshine. I thought it probably was good for when it came out, but it is definitely, personally, one of my least favorite VR games that I've played because it doesn't feel like a VR game. The amount of stuff you can interact with is way too low. The reloading is way too simple. Now, they made another game after the fall, which is essentially a Left 4 Dead style VR game. Leagues better. You can do the simple reload if you want. It's now an accessibility feature. But if you want to do more damage or show off your skill or something, you can do a physical reload. You take the thing out, you put it back in, you pull the bar, whatever. And now it gives you a small damage boost because you're taking the time to do it. And you feel way cooler doing it too. And that's a huge step up from what Arizona Sunshine was. So Arizona Sunshine 2 actually got announced, and I'm super looking forward to that.
That should be pretty nice.
Because with all that they've gained from after the fall and like learned as a development team, I'm expecting Arizona Sunshine 2 to be everything that I thought the first one should have been. Because you couldn't even use a melee weapon in the first game. You can find like tactical shovels in the world, and you can't use them to hit zombies. What in the world? That's what do you do in a zombie game? 90% of it's using melee weapons. You can look at 90% of the zombie games that come out, and melee weapons are not only just a staple of zombie fighting, but it's just a necessity. Ammo is supposed to be hard to find. I did get stuck in the game at one point because I didn't have enough ammo to actually kill all the zombies, and it was awful.
By the way, I looked it up real quick. So I was wrong. Ninja Gaiden Yaiba Z came out on the 360 and PS3 in 2014. So I guess they decided a next gen wasn't worth it. And additionally, it got flamed with reviews. In fact, Games Radar included it in their top 100 worst games of all time list. So that was the last Ninja Gaiden game ever made. Everyone said it was terrible. And
Last of the Ninjas.
And that's why Koei Tecmo was like, fine, we're not going to do it anymore. We're done. We're sorry.
Well, I mean, who knows whose real fault it is? Was it the executives on top, or was it the developers not having
the new
a right
director?
Yeah, no, sorry. The developers are rarely the ones to blame, I don't think. The directors, creative directors, executive directors, whatever list of direction there is.
You know, we got a lot of ducks. I think it'd be appropriate if we did a head count and count what types of ducks we have in the pool. Could you enlighten the audience and just kind of go around and see what ducks we've gathered on
You
this
got
wonderful day?
So let's start with us, right? So there's me as the submarine. We got you. What did you pick? Gold?
I picked the bronze duck.
Bronze. I thought it
doesn't
looked
look very
brassy.
bronze to me, but that's what it said.
Mostly polished. Actually, you know what? It's got a bit of a reflection of that green, and I don't think it's because of the actual pool. I think it's supposed to be like a little rust kind of a thing. You know, copper being part of the alloy and bronze. The Statue of Liberty being the perfect example. It gets that green look.
That is very cool. I didn't notice that. Well done.
At least I hope that's what it is. It could actually be the pool. Either way,
I think it looks great.
It fits. It's neat, right? There's me. We got the watermelon. It's raining. The watermelon duck. Let's see. We've got this 8-ball. Nice and classic. This big-headed one with the headband. I'm not entirely sure what that's
workout headband, I think.
Okay. I don't know why its head is so big, though. That's what I wonder. It's fine either way. And then we got this devil? No, the horned bull?
Looks like, a bull duck.
It doesn't make any other quacks, so there's that. We got some cheese.
Some Cheese
or alternatively the moon duck.
That's fair.
The sad duck with the tears. Not tears of joy. Oh, the travel duck? Or the
Looks like
postage duck? Postage duck. It's been shipped around. Let's see.
I don't even know what this one. I guess it's like a paper mache duck.
The prisoner with the tattoos duck. Oh no! Oh, this is I think this is something you would do with like sewing or something.
Because if you zoom in, you can see little lines with scissor, like cut here lines.
Yeah, like perfect. Cut alongside these. It reminds me of something that you would tailor. I wonder what. If you did cut these parts, what would you get? I'm not gonna edit that. That's way too much work. Excuse me, but that is interesting. Let's move forward from there. A strawberry, and we got the boat in the background. It is a regular classic duck noise. Secret Service duck, or just what is that on his lapel or pocket? Is that a llama?
It looks like it looks like it's supposed to be a pocket. Wait. Oh my goodness! Yeah, it looks like a llama.
I think that's a llama for sure.
That's pretty funny.
Where the pocket square would be, but yeah, this glasses. I'm just gonna say business duck because he doesn't have like an earpiece, and I would say that's what makes it Secret Service.
Classy duck.
And you got this. What do you call it? A
Optical illusion.
Yeah.
Duck? I don't even know.
Optical illusion duck. Hypnotic duck. Disco duck. Easy. Classy. Like that. The celebratory duck.
Birthday duck.
I was looking at it earlier when it came in, and I thought the little sparkler was slowly going down. And I was trying to keep my eye on it, but I think it was just rotating so slightly that I didn't realize it was rotating because I was too focused on the sparkler that made it look like it was getting shorter.
It'd be interesting to see if you could knock it underwater somehow if the sparkler would go out.
Yeah, that is interesting. If it gets shot upside down when getting through the tube, maybe. But yeah, then there's this caroling duck.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know what it's singing.
It's singing on Last Christmas, I Gave You My Heart.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never would have placed that. And of course, you got the nutcracker
The
duck.
duck cracker.
The duck cracker.
Uh-oh.
The nut ducker. Nah, duck cracker was definitely the best. And we got
I don't even know what this is.
dirt.
Is that supposed to be dirt?
I just assumed it was just a clod of dirt.
Oh my goodness.
Dirt duck. Yeah, I mean, it could be compost. But I prefer
Manure.
dirt. Yeah, dirt. And then we got wrestle. Let's see. Ducko Libre here. Our chameleon that kind of looks like a football field. Let's see if he hits. No, it doesn't.
For those of you who may be watching that don't know, this chameleon, if he bumps into another duck, he will turn into that duck skin. However, you can tell he's different because the texture, like if he were to bump into the tomato duck, he would look kind of like the tomato duck, but his texture would look really fuzzy. So you'd be able to tell the difference that way if you zoomed in.
I kind of wanted to. It's just so slow. Maybe he'll bump into the horn duck. It's so close, but it might. No, I don't think we're gonna get that one right now.
Oh, dang it.
We got the plaid duck.
We actually have another one that's about to arrive, too.
Oh, very good, sir.
I think so.
Oh, and then, yeah, and that'll be the last one we've got.
And then I think, the duck meter's kind of been full for a while. Oh, there we go.
There it is. Tiger duck.
Tiger duck.
Hell
Well
yeah.
done.
Well, that is our ducks for today.
Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun talking about store stories and the chaos that is the Ninja Gaiden series.
Yes, and me getting sidetracked and not being able to finish a thought before jumping into something else entirely.
Hey, but that's what makes these podcasts featuring rubber duckies fun.
Absolutely. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And hopefully you'll tune in for the next Placid Plastic Podcast with myself and David. We may get some guests on every once in a while. At least I hope to. We just got to get some scheduling worked out. But that'll be it for this one.
Goodbye, everyone.
And thanks again.